Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel is Making with Marilyn. Now I do all things crafty on my channel, but on today's video, I'm going to use my DTF printer, print out a DTF design, and press it onto this soft style Gildan t-shirt. The process is this. You find an image or you make an image. I found mine on Creative Fabrica. You print your design onto DTF film. I love the Yamation film, that's what I usually use. I'm going to use my Pro Color DTF printer. After I've printed it out, I'll add the DTF powder to the back. We'll talk more about this when I'm doing that process. I'll press my design on the heat press. After I press it and I remove the film, I'll do a second press using parchment paper. Now before I press it, I'm going to clean my shirt with this lint roller. I'll also add some heat resistant tape. So if you're interested in this, you're curious about DTF, or you just want to see a really cute shirt, sit back, relax. Let's get started. Now I am just going to take a minute to show you my design that I'm going to use. So I go up to my profile, my downloads. I've already downloaded it once, but let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. I think that is adorable. I love animal print. I love buffalo check. So when you combine the two, it is a winner in my book. Now, one thing I want you to notice is this is a little bit gray. So when we print this out, this isn't going to be really, really white, and that's because of the design. Now, this is a software that you get with Pro Color printers. This is called ProRip. With a DTF printer, you have to use some type of RIP software because that's what you use to manage the white ink. Most printers don't print white, and so RIP software is a specialized software that does. And it doesn't just print white in your image, but RIP software will put a layer of white behind your image so that it really pops off of any color. All right, let's go ahead and bring in my design. You do that right here. This little icon is the add picture icon, so I'm going to click on that. And then here's mine right here. So I can click on it and add it. Or if I don't know where it is, I can just type part of the file name and it'll pop up. Now notice that I can use TIFF, JPEG, PNG, BMP, and PDF. I typically use PNG images. So I'm going to click on Santa Baby and I'll say open. Now that is way too small. Let's go ahead and move it down kind of to the center. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this to the width that I want. Now, notice all this extra space up here. So if I were to try to size it by height, the computer's going to take in this excess space, and it's not really going to turn out right. But I can see that my bounding box or my little box around it is up against the sides. So I'm going to change the width. I'll have this proportion button locked. That's going to change the height. Now I want the width of mine to be about 9 inches wide. So I'll go right here. I'm going to click to the right of that 7. I'll back over the number and I'm just going to put a 9 in there. Again, the lock is on, which means the proportions are going to stay the same. So when I hit enter, it's also going to get taller. Okay, that looks good. Now there's 2 more things that I need to do. Notice that it doesn't really fit on this paper. My film is 8.3 inches wide and a 9-inch image isn't going to fit on there. The other thing is when you're printing DTF, you have to print in the mirrored view. And I want to go ahead and do that first. So with my image selected, I'm going to go right here. This will mirror it horizontally. We'll go ahead and do that. Then I'm going to go right here and I'm going to turn my image 90 degrees. It doesn't matter which way I turn it. I just need it to fit on the paper. Now I'm just going to put this kind of in the middle, and you see it jump there. What I can do if I don't want it to jump is I can use the arrows on my keyboard to move it over. Okay, that looks good. So the next step is I go ahead and rip this. Rip is right here. So I'll click on that. It's letting me know that some of my picture is out of range. Do I want to continue? All this extra space is off the page. I don't care about that, so I'm going to say yes. Here's the settings that I use if you want to take a look at those. Most of these are just the default settings that came with the printer. Now I have some options here. I can either manually print it after I rip it. I can automatically print it after I rip it, or I can have it printing while it's ripping. I go ahead and I set mine to automatically print it after it's done ripping. Now, since I mirrored it in the software, I don't need to click right here where it says mirror print. I go ahead and hit print. It's going to start ripping it. When it's done ripping it, it's going to start printing. Now here's the design, and you're looking at it through the film. So that's the way you'll see it on the shirt. And then on the back, it's just all covered with white. The next step is we need to powder this. The powder is actually the adhesive. So I always like to use a glove on the hand that I use. And so let's go ahead and open this up. Now this is a container that I got at the Dollar Tree. I just cut the label off of my film. Or, I'm sorry, I cut the label off of the powder and taped it to the front. Now I shook this up maybe 15 minutes ago to break up any clumps, and then I keep just a little condiment cup down in there. You make sure you can see that. I dump a bunch of this on because you're not going to waste any. Any that you don't need is going to go right back inside here. So I put a bunch on. And then you want to rotate this or rock this back and forth, and you want to make sure that every bit of that ink gets coated. If it doesn't, it's not going to stick to your shirt right. So I go back and forth, and I do this at least 4 to 6 times. Just make sure that is covered really well. Make sure you didn't miss any of the ink. Okay, so I think that's a good coverage. So I go ahead and stand it up, and then I just tap it so any excess powder falls right back onto this paper. Now what I do is I just take this paper, put the powder to the center, and then just dump it right back in here. I fold up my paper and I keep it till next time. Now it's time to cure the DTF powder. My curing oven is set to 120 degrees Celsius and the timer is set to 150 seconds. This is going to melt the powder so that it becomes a nice adhesive and will allow the ink to stick to my shirt. If you don't have a DTF oven, you can use a convection oven, a griddle, or even let it sit under the top platen of an open heat press. So after it cured, here's what it looks like. Pretty much the same as before it cured. This is going to look great on this black shirt. And that's the beauty of DTF. Because you have that white layer on back, you can actually put this down on whatever color you want, and those colors are going to show up. All right, so let's go ahead and clean my shirt. I have my lint roller here. So I'm just going to remove any fibers, any extra anything on there. That looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and preheat this just to remove moisture. It also gives you a really flat surface to use, but really the purpose is to remove that moisture, just like if you were doing vinyl, rhinestones, or anything else. Now my press wasn't quite up to 325 when I pre-pressed it, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and give this another rolling just in case there was anything on the top platen. Really make this a clean surface. Now I've seen different instructions, even on the same brand of film. I've seen different instructions. Some has a lower temperature than what I'm going to use tonight. Some has the same temperature I'm going to use. What I'm going to do is 325 for 15 seconds. After I press it, I'll let it cool all the way down, then we'll peel that film off. Now, to find the center of my design, I'm going to go ahead, fold it up, have the edges of it touch, and then just make a little crease. That's going to help me center it under my collar. Now, if I didn't say before, this is a soft style Gildan t-shirt. I love how soft these are. I'm going to have it about 3+ inches down from the collar, probably more like 4. This is kind of a short design, so I want to have it down just a little bit further so it doesn't look like it's hugging my neck. All right, let's check that out. I think this looks pretty good. The next thing I'm going to do, which isn't a requirement, but I like to do it since I'm moving my shirt back there to the press and I don't want this to move. The back of this is not sticky at all. So I'm just going to put a couple pieces of heat resistant tape down to hold it in the right place. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the press, heat it at 325 for 15 seconds, bring it right back over here. First, I'm going to hold it up, make sure I think it looks good. All right, I'm going to let that cool off, and just so you can hear me really well, I'm going to turn my heat press off. When it's time to do my second press, I'll turn it back on. Now, I can either just stand here and wait for this to cool down, and it's already cooled down quite a bit, or I can turn it over, put it on my table, and draw some of that heat out that way. All right, I think that feels good. Let me go ahead and turn this around, get the tape off so I can get it started, and then we're going to see how this turned out together. Okay, that came off beautifully. There's no ink left on that. And let's check it out. That is very, very cute. The thing about DTF though is after that first press, it is slightly shiny and feels pretty smooth. I want this to press down into the fibers of my shirt and not be so slippery. So I'm going to do a second press. I'm going to put parchment paper on top of it. I'll do that second press, again 325. I'm going to do 15 seconds and then we're done. All right, and that parchment paper just fell right off of there. It doesn't stick to it because it's parchment paper. Let me go ahead and push that in. Now, I just love this shirt. I can't wait to wear it. It is so, so cute, and it feels so much better after that second press. So if you do DTF or even the DTF hack, don't skip that step. Take a piece of parchment paper, lay it down on top of it, press it again for the same amount of time, the same temperature. You're going to be so much happier with your project if you do that. So thanks so much for joining me today, and until my next video, bye-bye.